Today we take a look at a build of Narset Enlightened Master. Narset is one of the commanders that you don't see as much play, but when it does the thing that Narset tends to do. Narset costs white, red, blue, and 3 generic to cast. It has first strike and hexproof, and when Narset Enlightened Master attacks, you exile the top 4 cards of your library. Until end of turn, you may cast non-creature cards with Narset without paying their mana cost. So you will notice we don't run any creatures because we really don't want to hit them off Narset. We had considered running a couple like Dockside and Grand Abolisher, but really we don't need them. Dockside doesn't really do a ton for us. Yes, it makes a bunch of treasures potentially, but we are hoping to be able to cast our spells off the Narset triggers for free, and Grand Abolisher isn't really that big of a deal either, because if we flip a counter spell, if someone tries to counter one of the spells that we have that we're casting, we have a counter to back it up. So it's really not that big of a deal, but we do run a couple others that are non-creatures that will help us. For example, we run Narset Parter of Veils, making it so that our opponents can't draw more than 1 card each turn. For us, it gives us a little manipulation of our library. Teferi has the Grand Abolisher type of effect. And then for us, we can cast an instant or sorcery as though it had flash, or even return a artifact, creature, or enchantment to its owner's hand, drawing us a card. Jace, Wielder of Mysteries is here as part of our win con. If we're able to get enough of a draw going, then we could potentially win the game if we use Jace's ability. We do run quite a few sorceries, some that are tutors. Things like Grape Shot, so if we're able to do a bunch of attacks with Narset and storm off, this actually could do a good amount of damage to somebody. Mana Severance is great, so that we can remove all of our lands. When we get to a certain point, we just don't need lands any longer, and this will allow us to remove them so that when we attack with Narset, then we're hopefully revealing things that we can just keep on casting and go nuts with. Jessica's Will is great. It helps us make some mana and then be able to play some cards. Time Twister and Windfall help us refill our hand. It does affect our opponents too, but hopefully it's going to benefit us way more than it will benefit them. Relentless Assault is going to allow us to take an additional attack. We do need to be careful that we're not attacking the same person if possible, because if we do attack a bunch and we don't actually have a way to win, we can knock somebody out to commander damage, and then we just can't really get any good attacks through. Seize the Day is another attack for us, and then we can flash it back, so really we can use this card twice, which is great. And then you'll notice a bunch of extra turn spells like Capture of Jang Zangu, Temporal Manipulation, Time Warp, Waves of Aggression, another attack, Karn's Temporal Sundering, another extra turn, Mind's Dilation. Hopefully we're able to at least get a storm count of 2 or 3, maybe more with Mind's Desire, and we're able to then cast a bunch of spells, and then we're going to round it out with a bunch of extra turn spells. Enter the Infinite is here so that if we get to that point, we can cast Enter the Infinite with our Narset ability, hopefully play a Jace, or already have a Jace in play, use Jace's plus ability, draw a card, and win the game that way. Rise of Eldrazi is nice because it's going to help us get rid of something, as well as take an extra turn. Instance, we have the typical counter suite that you would have. We run Brainstorm so that if we end up drawing one of our cards that we want, like our extra turn spells, we can brainstorm it back. Enlightened Tutor allows us to tutor for something that we need. We do run a Braid as a way of removing things on our opponent's field if we need to. Wear and Tear, we might end up casting both sides of it, so it's versatile for us because we can destroy an artifact or an enchantment. Response Resurgence, we're going to usually play the Resurgence part to be able to take an extra combat and hopefully go crazy. And Nexus of Fate is nice because we can cast it, and then it's going to go back into our library. So this is one of the few that are actually going to go back in our library and be repeatable over the course of the game. Most of our artifacts are mana rocks, but then we do run a couple like Conqueror's Flail so that we can attach it to Narset and be able to do big damage. Scroll Rack so that we can manipulate things and put things from our hand back. Enchantments, we run the 2 usual draw engines, Mystic Remora and Rhystic Study, but then we also run Aggravated Assault to get us an extra combat. 1000-Year Storm, so for being able to cast several spells this turn, 1000-Year Storm is great because then we can cast them again by copying them. Eldrazi Conscription is fantastic for us. If we put that onto Narset, then when we attack, our opponents are going to start getting hit for 10 plus damage and annihilating things, which is going to slowly lead to us winning the game because they're going to have no permanence at some point. And then Omniscience, so we can play things for free, which is just good for us. Omniscience plus Enter the Infinite, and our Jace equals a win. Our lands are pretty typical. Cavern of Souls, we would name Human so that Narset can't be countered. We run Otawara because it's a piece of removal for us, or just the land depending on where we need. If you have experience playing Narset and you have any other cards that we didn't think about or any recommendations for us, we'd love to hear that in the comments below. And if you have been playing Narset or played against it, we'd love to hear some of your feedback on how it's gone for you.